Hey, everybody, I'm back. So to join Alite Show, hit the subscribe button, comment, let me know what you think about the show. Any comments you have or any shows that you want me to talk about, let me know. But I'm going to go right into it because it's the most important election of a lifetime. And you know, we hear people say that all the time about different elections and different presidential elections. But this has something that's different. And if you're from a community like I am, I lived in Cuba, I lived in Venezuela, I'm Albanian. My family knows what communism is. We understand what freedom of speech is. But when people are giving their opinions and they discuss something with you as individuals, you know, we're all in agreement to be able to speak without shutting our voices down. And when they shut your voice down, it's usually out of fear or it's out of, like they do in communist countries, dictatorships. They don't want you to open up somebody else's ears to understand your point of view, out of fear that they will understand and will be in agreement with you. And the more people are in agreement, the more powerful people are together as one. But when you get a political party that tries to divide people, which the Biden-Harris Democratic Party, which I hate to call them Democratic Party anymore, because this is not the Democratic Party of our fathers and mothers anymore. This is a party that's going towards dictatorship, totalitarianism, Marxism, communism. And the reason why I say that, when you have a guy like Tim Walz, whose whole family has endorsed Donald Trump. Yeah, you heard that correctly. His whole family has endorsed Donald Trump. He's a sympathizer of China. He's been there 30-something times. He's a guy that wants to shut down freedom of speech. He thinks speech should be censored. Now, under our Constitution, that's one of the biggest constitutional amendments in this country, freedom of speech. To be able to speak and say what you want or what you believe and not be censored. Now, he wants to censor it, no different than Hillary Clinton said the same thing. We need to censor speech. This is a party that claims they're for democracy. You know, when you want to censor speech, who's going to be the police officers of freedom of speech? Hillary Clinton, the one that burnt all her emails, and she closed down anything that she said and burnt them? The person that lied during Benghazi, and great soldiers and guys that risked their life like John Tigg, she shut them down on social media, had them shut down. Or Tim Walz, who lied and said he was in China during the riots at Tiananmen Square. And then he called himself a knucklehead. He blatantly lied. No, he's not a knucklehead. He's a bullshit artist. Let's say it what he is. This is a guy that completely lied and said he was there. Or should we talk about the new vice president running for president, Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris is in bed with Joe Biden politically. She's been vice president for 4 years. For 4 years, they've run this country into war after war. And now you have North Korea that joined in with Russia against Ukraine, right? She had the opportunity to stop that war. She did nothing about it. She had the opportunity to stop the Israeli and Palestinian conflict with Hamas, Israeli and Hamas conflict, after they attacked and killed 1,400 and something young kids at a festival, Jewish kids, American kids that were there. We haven't heard Kamala Harris one time say anything about our hostages. This is a woman that wants to be president, hasn't said anything. This is a woman that ran in the street and said that protesting won't stop, that and then she'll dance with them and protest the Palestinians. She is the regime under Donald Trump. No Palestinians were being killed. Nobody on the Israeli side was being killed. There was peace with the Abraham Accords put together by Donald Trump. There was peace around the world. China didn't surround Taiwan. Look what the world's ready to blow up to be. And Kamala Harris hasn't said a word about all these wars. This is who we're going to depend on. Do you think anybody's going to respect Kamala Harris? Do you think anybody respects Joe Biden? But under Donald Trump, it's not my opinion. He had 4 years of peace around the world. He pulled out of Afghanistan. He was pulling out of Afghanistan at the end of his presidential term. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came in and was a disaster. They pulled out, got 13 of our soldiers killed, looked at their watch during their ceremonies. This past year, they didn't even attend the ceremonies for those fallen soldiers. This is the leadership we want to run this country. Do you think Putin respects them? Do you think Netanyahu from Israel respects them? No. Do you think the North Korean president respects them? Do you think that Xi from China respects them? None of them respect them. None of them fear them. We will be in World War III under Kamala Harris's leadership. Look at what she has done to this country. She has lied to this country when we all know Joe Biden wasn't cognitively well. We know that. We all seen that. We've seen his movement. Our fake media, which should be protecting freedom of speech and protecting the citizens of America, don't do that. They're in bed with them. They're running interference for them. Have you heard them once come out and say, we can't have this guy as president? And Kamala Harris lied to this country for years. Now, I called this about a year ago. I said that he would step out of office right prior to this next election. So if I'm calling it a year prior, and you can look at my old videos, and I said they will remove him and they will put somebody in his slot, right? She wasn't voted in. She ran for the president's seat. She was the only one that couldn't get, she was the least in that 20, I believe it was 20 people running for president at that time. She was the first one to bow out or to get kicked out, whatever word you want to use. And now she's a formidable candidate because fake media is pushing her, because our deep state is pushing her, because Dick Cheney, a warmonger, a Republican, is siding with his daughter Liz Cheney, who will be Secretary of Defense, supposedly. She's going to name as the Secretary of Defense. Do we want more wars? If you're a woman and you want to protect your child's future, how can you possibly vote for this woman who's involved is a warmonger like the rest of that, who I just named, Dick Cheney, with Iraq, that debacle? Does it surprise you that the deep state, Republican or Democrat, they're basically one party slowly destroying this country and not caring about the American people? As an American, you should worry about your kids' future. Can they buy a house anymore at their paychecks? Obviously not. Look at the inflation under Joe Biden and Harris, what they have caused. Look at the pay structure. Look at the interest rates for a home. How can a young couple afford that? Look at if you're a mom and you want your daughter to walk to school and be safe. They're being killed, raped by illegal immigrants that have come in this country. About 20 million of them. Is that what you want for your children's safety? For them to walk to school and not know if they're going to come home again? If they're going to be gang raped? If they're going to eat a pill and it has fentanyl in it and it kills them? This is Kamala Harris's doing. She was the czar of our border. We have 50,000 veterans that risk their lives for this country that live on the streets of America. And yet they're not in hotels, but we give illegal immigrants hotels. We take our resources that should go to the inner cities. It shouldn't be not one neighborhood that is poor, that is broke. There should not be one neighborhood that is a ghetto. We're sending billions, $100 billion to Iran. We're sending billions, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. We're sending it to Yemen, but we're not sending it to America first. What's wrong with saying America first? Our 125,000 homeless children should be first. Our 50,000 homeless soldiers, veterans, should be first. Our 800,000 American citizens that are homeless should be first. How is it that these illegal immigrants are jumping in front of them and getting the funds of our inner cities? And you're taxing those same individuals in the inner city, and then you're asking them, please vote for me? We slapped you in the face. We slapped you in the other cheek. We slapped you again. We take all your resources. We take your jobs. We charge you for it. We charge you taxes. And we tell you, I'm a black woman running for president, vote for me. You didn't say that when you left them with no money. You left them with no resources. You left them with no school choice. When you took their children, and you put their lives at risk because you defunded the police. You're the same woman that ran around America saying defund the police. You're the same woman that's responsible for 327 police officers that were shot this year. 46, I believe, were killed. The year before, it was 286 police officers that were shot. The number's going up. They lie about the crime rate saying it's lowered. No, it's gone up. You left out the cities like New Orleans, Philadelphia, Detroit. All these cities were not counted in those calculations. They were held back by the FBI. The FBI, that's also corrupt institute with the CIA, 51 signatures against Donald Trump, and lied about the Hunter laptop. And it was election interference the last time. So when you say that Donald Trump is falsifying anything or lying, no, he isn't. You guys, all of you are corrupt institute people, bureaucratic. You're not people that care about America first. There's people in this world, one citizen after another is America first. I was an ex-criminal. I was a guy that did the wrong thing. I made mistakes in my life. I changed my life 15 years ago. And for 15 years, I advocate for America first. How can anybody that runs our institutes possibly go against this country, go against the rights of this country, freedom of speech? And when Kamala Harris comes out front and says, don't vote for Donald Trump, under Donald Trump, we know what he would do. He was no dictator. He was no Hitler. He didn't weaponize the DOJ. He didn't lock up his opponents. He didn't have any wars. Financially, we were the richest we ever were as individuals. We had non-existent inflation. Our food prices and our gas prices were energy efficient. What's there to say about Donald Trump? He did nothing but positive things for this country. When people talk about what do you expect from Donald Trump, I definitely don't expect what you're doing. He didn't force vaccines on people, but Kamala Harris, you did. You said you care about women's rights and women's choices, and it's my body, my choice. You didn't say that when they were pregnant and you forced a vaccine on them, and hundreds of women lost their children. Hundreds of women were sick. Hundreds of women died of different diseases because of that heart attack and other things that happened to them because of that vaccine. It wasn't my body, my choice then. And when you bring us into these wars, it's not these young kids' bodies and choices. And when you continue to bring us in wars, you'll start the forced entry into the armed forces, which he's haven't done. But that will come back, and you'll bring it to women also. So when you say my body, my choice, is it a woman's choice once you get the vaccine? No. When you say you care about women's rights, thousands, just this year, 20,000 illegal immigrants coming across the border, been attacked. There's medical proof that almost 20,000 people this year were treated for violent attacks against them. Thousands of them, children and women, are being raped and beat and sexualized and being trafficked. But I don't see no woman's choice there. I don't see you care about women's choices there. You don't protect our women. You don't protect our children. There's 325,000. I'll say it again. 325,000 missing children under Kamala Harris that are being sexually abused. They're being used as slave labor. And you don't say a word about it, Kamala Harris. You will not do an interview without a prompter. You can't sit here like I'm sitting here right now and throw out figure after figure without somebody telling you what to say. You were on a friendly CNN show with Anderson Cooper, and he asked you a very simple question. What would you do different than Joe Biden? And you said nothing. I can't think of anything. You can't think about the 500,000 kids plus that are dying from fentanyl because you have an open border. You couldn't think about what you would do different with that border. You wouldn't. You're the same woman that made fun of Donald Trump for building that wall. You're the same woman now that says you would build that wall. You're the same woman that has lied over and over again and went against Israel. You're the same woman allowing thousands of Palestinians being killed during that conflict because you backed Hamas. And you're the same woman is trying to cater to the extremists with the Hamas conflict. Hamas has caused that conflict, attacked Israelis. You are feeding both sides financially. You fed Iran billions of dollars that fed that money to the Houthis, to Hezbollah, and to Hamas to cause destruction around the world. Not only destruction against the Jews, but the destruction to fire rockets at our own ships. And nowhere along this have you took the responsibility for have you destroyed this country. Day in and day out, you have just destroyed this country. Day in and day out, you influence people to shoot at police officers. You influence people to not comply to police officers. You influence people to commit crimes in the street and walk into stores and take what they want, knowing they wouldn't be charged. You're the same woman, when you were district attorney of San Francisco in California, that destroyed that state. You destroyed it by the lack of empathy for the people that were living on the street, homeless. You did nothing for them. But now you want to bring in illegal immigrants for the vote. You're not bringing it in because you care about their future or Americans' future. You only care about yourself and the power of your party. And when you take California, a state that was one of the most beautiful states ever, and you destroyed it, you locked up an individual for a crime he did not commit. You knew he was in it and you laughed. You wouldn't let him out of jail. And he continued, and he's on TV now talking about what you did to him. You're the same individuals asking for black votes, but you made fun of him, you laughed at him, and you locked him up for smoking weed. You're the same individual now that flip-flopped and said you're going to try to legalize the smoking marijuana and dispensaries. You don't care about any of us. You don't care about the inner city because you wouldn't give their money away to illegal immigrants. Not thousands of dollars, but billions of dollars. You have bypassed your community. When it's convenient for you, you say you're black. When it's convenient, you say you're Indian. When it's convenient for you, you put on an accent, whether it's a Jamaican accent or any other accent. And then you bring in these high-powered socialites or movie stars or singers like different people like Beyonce or the young girl that's been, I don't even know her name, the country singer that you brought in and she's endorsing you. These people they're filthy rich. They don't care about gas prices. They don't care about food prices. They don't care about gun laws because they have private security. They don't care about the border or the wall because they have walls around their personal house, just like you put a wall around the DNC, just like you walk around with private security. But how about the rest of the people that don't have the luxury of having private security, are losing their children going to school? How about the people that can't afford to pay their rent? Or how about the people that can't buy houses? Or how about the police officers that are going out every day being attacked because of your rhetoric, because your party's rhetoric? Or how about the people that you and Joe Biden just recently called them garbage? And now you're trying to step away from Joe Biden when you personally said, Joe Biden is one of the best men you ever met. But when you were running for presidency, you called him a racist. So you flip-flop on everything you ever said. You haven't stand by a thing you ever said. And you will flip-flop on the American people if you ever do get elected. And the biggest problem that we have is you attack and nonstop attack 3/4 of this country for their beliefs, for their freedom of speech. And you want to shut down freedom of speech. You want to shut me up and you want to censor me and every other American that don't agree with you. And if we don't agree with you, you find a way to come after us. And that's what you were raised as. And you don't speak about your father much. And why is that? He was a Marxist. But why hasn't anything come out about your father? Why has anybody asked you, what do you think about your father? What do you think about children? What do you think about these kids that are losing their lives? What do you think about fentanyl in this country because of you? You were the czar of the border. How anybody with a half a brain could look at your track record, 4 years of you destroying this country, and look at Donald Trump and see what he did for 4 years running this country. And your whole campaign, you have not answered a policy. You have not sat on a real interview with anybody and answered serious questions. All you have done is nonstop mock Donald Trump. And if I was Donald Trump at the debate, I would have said to you, stop acting like a grade school kid and stop talking about me. This ain't about my personality. It's about my policies. What did I do as president? I was the greatest president ever for 4 years. No one cares what you think of Donald Trump. We care to know what your policies are. And no one knows what your policies are because you won't speak of them. And anybody that votes for you has got to be uneducated. I met a woman the other day, an attorney, a corporate attorney. And once I had a conversation, she said that she liked you. And I asked her, why would you like her? But once I bring up subjects, like most people, they can't answer it. How do you account for what you did to our border? How do you account for all these girls like Lincoln Riley that was raped and killed because of your policies? How do you account for the little 12-year-old girl that was raped, tied up by her hands and her ankles, raped and tortured and then killed and dispensed of? Have you spoke about them? Have you apologized to the families for what you did? How do you discuss someone like my daughter that died taking a fentanyl pill that had no idea it was fentanyl? How do you not take accountability for us losing our children? Not one or two, but over 500,000 of our kids have died because of your policy. Just your open border policy because of fentanyl. And there's no accountability from you. None. No apology. Your arrogance about talking about yourself and what a good leader you would be. You had 4 years. 4 years. 4 years of nothing. 4 years. And we'll get it through everybody's head that can even think about voting for you. Look what you've done to this country. You made our enemies strong. You're taking our energy sources, one of the richest countries or the richest country in the world with energy, and you gave the strength to our enemies. And you're doing business with China. And you're going to talk about the Green Deal? What Green Deal? It's a scam. China's not no involvement in it, but I don't see you holding China's hand to the fire. You're a leader for 4 years. Why don't you hold China's hand to the fire? You have Obama that's doing your bidding for you, but he left the black community. He wouldn't sign a 10-year college and black university bill, but Donald Trump signed it. He wouldn't give school choice, but Donald Trump signed it. But I see Obama and his wife move to Martha's Vineyard. But when 15 illegal immigrants went to Martha's Vineyard, you bust them out the next day. I don't see you moving them into your house. I don't see Obama moving them into his house. I don't see Tim Walz moving them into his house. But I see a sympathizer for China. Tim Walz is in China 35 times. I don't see you get respected from anybody. I says, because how are you going to respect somebody that has a disaster record? You have 4 years of a disaster. Between the wars, between our border, between the murders, between defund the police, between our interest rates, our house rates, the inflation that's incredible. What have you done for this country in 4 years besides destroy it? Destroy our neighborhoods. Try to lie and con our neighborhoods that you care about them. If you cared about them, the billions of dollars and trillions of dollars I'm talking about would have went to our neighborhoods. There should not be a ghetto in America with the amount of money we have. And under Donald Trump, there was the least unemployment between the black and Latin communities in our country's history. I says, but Donald Trump had opportunity zones. And now you're trying to mimic Donald Trump in his campaign. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to not charge tax on tips because Donald Trump said it. I don't need a parrot as a president. I need a leader. Donald Trump came with these things, not you. You come and you're trying to follow his campaign because you have no campaign. Your campaign is to constantly knock him and and tell people you're not divisive. That's all you are, is divisive. Your whole campaign is about divisiveness. Your whole campaign is to knock his people that want America first. Anybody who's involved or is involved in politics that loves America is a loving, like any other country, loves their country. It's anybody that says we come first, your family comes first. This is normal. My family comes first. My country comes first. And then we can look after the next family in the next country. But until we're strong, you're not strong. When you fly or you're in a plane or you're in a car or you're anywhere, they tell you to put the oxygen on yourself first so you can save your kids next. If that oxygen's not on you, you're not able to save your children. No different in America. We need our oxygen. And with our oxygen, we can save other countries and we can help other countries. But when you leave our heroes, our 50,000 homeless veterans on the street, you don't care about America. You don't care about free speech. And when our media is running interference for you and nobody's asking you to get up on there and tell us what your policies is, no one's forcing you like 60 Minutes did, and they cut your interview because your answer was so ridiculous and was an embarrassment that they have to run interference for you. That's not free America. That's a communist regime that does that. They only give the news that they want to give. They only give the facts they want to give. When you're talking about crime in America and they change those numbers, that's communism. When they tell you, when you or Hillary Clinton or Tim Walz talks about free speech, you are the same people lying. Who's going to watch you? You going to police our free speech when you're the ones lying? You're the ones getting caught in your lies? You're the ones like Joe Biden that was stealing documents and you protected him? He stole them as a senator. He had no right to them. He stole them as a vice president. He had no right to them. And when you have this unbelievable weaponization of our system, when you put Bannon in jail, when you put Navarro in jail, when you put Roger Stone in jail, when you attack Donald Trump on a constant basis, when you didn't want to let him on the ticket to even run as president, how is that free and fair elections for the American people? If anybody's just half-witted and just sees what you guys are doing and can't see that you're driving us into socialism, and when you tell young kids the American dream is not livable anymore and they got to think a little lower standard, you can't buy a house anymore, just think about buying a townhouse or a condo. And when you lower the expectation of the next young man, the young woman that's coming up, your next expectation is just be happy you have a house over your head. Just happy you have an apartment. And we'll tell you what to eat and when to eat it. And when people like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard and Elon Musk, where all Democrats are coming over with Donald Trump, you don't want to speak about that, right? You didn't want to give them Secret Service protection. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., after his father and uncle were both assassinated. And you want to talk about freedom and you care about the American people, are they American? Or they don't follow your beliefs. So if they don't follow your beliefs, you can jail them or hope they get killed. And your rhetoric is the same. That's why I knew they were going to try to kill Donald Trump. I said it a year ago. I said it 6 months ago. I said it 2 months ago. And if anybody's stupid enough to believe that these random shooters that aren't qualified to try to assassinate a sitting president, an ex-sitting president, and someone's running for president without having inside information is really stupid. Because to break a perimeter is one thing, but then to go to a location within the perimeter and not know if it's guarded or not is impossible without inside information. I said that, right? I'll say it again. To get inside a perimeter is almost impossible without help. It's not, especially from a layman that doesn't understand. These aren't qualified Secret Service or CIA individuals or people that understand this line of work. These are random people that's supposed to be somewhat psychotic. And they get inside a perimeter. And who's giving them the information to get inside that perimeter? But who's more so, who's giving them the information to where to go inside that perimeter and won't be guarded? You think they just randomly pick these spots? And it just so happens they're not guarded. Where this country is going in the direction of what your father taught you. Marxism. That's why you don't want to bring him up, because he's a Marxist. He taught you socialism, Marxism, dictatorship, communism. And Tim Walz is over in China 30-something times because that's what he believes in. And that's why Obama's brother endorsed Donald Trump. That's why Tim Walz's family endorsed Donald Trump. And when you have people like Bill Gates on your side that's poisoning our country with food, and you're okay with that, that's why Robert Kennedy Jr. endorsed Donald Trump. So there is freedom of choice of our food. Other countries like Italy won't even accept our food because of what the poisons that are in it. This is incredible that anybody's not even half-witted, intelligent enough to see the direction Kamala Harris is trying to bring this country. It's not that we got to guess. We have 4 years of what she has done, the destruction of our country, the destruction of the American flag, the allowing of the burning of American flag. Our president, Donald Trump, said they should go to jail for a year. No, you should go to jail for 3 years. Mandatory 3 years. Burn our flag, don't like this country, get out. Get out, and besides that year in prison, you should be kicked out of the country, sent back from wherever you're from. But I think it should be 3 years, and after they serve the 3 years, send them back to the country they're from. You don't love this great country. You don't respect the people that lost their lives for this country. Our veterans, for hundreds of years that risked their lives, lost their lives. People that were maimed, bodies blown up into pieces for this country, and you burn this flag, yeah, 3 years is justifiable and kicked out of this country. And anybody that's involved or with your family should get kicked out of this country. That's America. True Americans love this country, love your birthplace. I'll finish off with this. 2024, we have a couple days left to the election. Everybody go out and vote Donald Trump. Donald Trump not only risked his life for this country, he gave up his life for this country. And if you watch videos when he was younger, when Oprah Winfrey and everybody else kissed his butt and loved him, they never called him a racist back then because he's not. They never said that he was a bad guy because he's not. And if you watch story after story about him, and personally, I watched him give up his seats to Danny Aiello and my friends, a professional fighter, and my other friend, a professional trainer, and another friend of mine who has passed away, and he sat behind us all. He gave up and 2 out of those 4 guys were African American. And he doesn't look at color, he never did. And anybody that said that, ask Jennifer Hudson what he did for her family. So when they play the race card, that card is only when they're desperate. And when they use that race card, it's only to divide and conquer. That's Machiavelli. And anybody that falls for the Machiavelli nonsense, please, don't be stupid, especially if you're from the street. We're too wise and understand what they do with division. There's no 5, 6, or 7-year-old kid that hates each other. They all just want to have fun, play in a schoolyard, play sports, run around and play tag. They don't check what skin color you are, what religion you are, with anything you are. It's a learned behavior, and the Democratic Party is good at it. Malcolm X watches tapes. Malcolm X called that party the Devil Party. Watch his tapes. Go back. Don't take my word for it. Watch his tapes when he talks about the Democratic Party. They're a party of division and hate. And that's what they're running on right now, hate. They're not discussing policy. They're telling you what they would do if they're elected. What you would do. You're there 4 years. What have you done? And Donald Trump, what has he done? He united this country. He kept us out of wars. He did not weaponize our DOJ, CIA, or Secret Service or FBI. But Merrick Garland and his community, DOJ, has done nothing but weaponize against their enemy. And they consider people that love America and want America to be free, they hate them. They're trying to stop freedom of speech. When you could take my YouTubes because of what I'm talking now and shadow ban me and shadow ban my Instagram because I'm talking against my body, my choice. Where are all these women that are talking about my body, my choice? France is the most liberal country in the world, and after 14 weeks, you make a decision to abort. Donald Trump said he's for abortion if the woman's life is in danger, if you're raped or incest. That's what he said. Don't change what he said. 14 weeks, he's in agreement. 16 weeks, he's in agreement. No one's in agreement for full term. And any woman that says she needs full term to make a decision to kill a baby, I'm sorry, I'm not in agreement. Me personally, I don't think most people be in agreement. It's your body, your choice. Then why didn't you scream that at Kamala Harris before it was your body and your choice for vaccines? Why aren't you screaming that when they try to bring your kids into war because they're warmongers? Why aren't you screaming that when your kids are walking the street when they're defunding the police and your kids aren't safe? Why aren't you screaming that when they're walking in the street and they're letting illegal immigrants come in and your kids don't get the money or funding or resources for school, medical care, school choice, or any other reason to give us the community's money. Why aren't you screaming that then? Why aren't you screaming that for the women are being raped, killed, and the children that are missing in this country? My body, my choice. Where are the women that's supposed to be protecting their children for their futures? Ask yourselves, where are you? Where are you when all these things are going on? Where are you when you call 9/11 and they ask and they want to defund the police? No one's saying that every cop is a perfect cop, but there's nothing in the world that's perfect. And no one's saying that they don't need more training or better training. Everybody constantly needs better training in any field. I don't care what your field is. If you're a ball player, you got to practice. If you're an airplane pilot, you got to practice. It's like any other field. But what is it with defunding the police? I'm a guy that used to be in trouble. I never talk against the police. Those are people that are saving our families' lives, our children's lives, our firemen, our first responders. All the people that risk their lives for us, you wanted to make them lose their careers. You wanted to fire them if they were in armed forces, if they didn't take your vaccine. And you and Joe Biden threatened about putting them in jails, in concentration camps. Does people forget what you did? You made millions of people lose their businesses. And if they weren't on your side, you destroyed their livelihoods. You broke them. And I'm going to leave it there. Vote Donald Trump 2024. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump, his family, for the sacrifices of what you've done to him. You try to dehumanize this guy. It's incredible. You took a playbook out of Nazi Germany. You guys are the Nazi Germany. You guys are the Nazis. You guys are the ones that have weaponized every industry that we have in this country. You guys are the ones that are locking up your opponents. You guys are the ones that are trying to take freedom of speech. And you guys are talking about packing the court system and getting rid of the Supreme Court. And we'll never have a free and fair election again if that happens. And that's what you guys want to do. And that's why you are okay with all these illegal ballots. And to finish it off, one last time, it costs 8% or 10% to run by paper ballot than it does with these machines. And these machines are easily hacked into. Patrick David had him on his show with somebody hacked into that machine within an hour. And we know they're hackable. Everybody knows they're hackable. This is a disgrace for free and fair elections, and the whole country knows it. God bless America, 2024, Donald Trump, president. He's an American family first president, the only one that sacrificed his life to this extent. He was shot in the ear. A hair off of losing his life, and he got right back up and said, fight, fight, fight. That is the president you want. That is the president that every country will respect. Who the hell's going to respect Kamala Harris? She's a joke, cackling, can't even answer a question. God bless America. Thank you.